It's been a wild first half of the season where there has been unpredictable predictability. A disaster at Donington for Keith Dempsey has thrown the door open for his rivals, and now it is Peter Dempsey who holds the overall points control. But if there is a place of unpredictability where driving up and down the almost Ben Nevis-like track is a journey in itself, then you've come to the right place. This is round 5 of the RTA Virtual Motorsport's FF1600 series. It's Knockhill, and it's live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Welcome to Scotland and a cauldron of great racing. My name is Jake Sperry, hopefully not making sounds like a novice bagpipe player, and alongside me is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. In the shadow of the Wallace Monument, who will be a Braveheart tonight? Let's take a look at our GSRC track guide to see what happens with the all-purpose 2-kilometer circuit and what it is all about.
Welcome to Knockhill Racing Circuit. Opened in 1974, this place has become perhaps the most famous of Scottish racetracks. It sits a little less than an hour north of Edinburgh, and while the stats may make it seem extremely short, it packs a lot of punch within a lap. The 4 main layouts have a mere 2 kilometers, or just over 1 mile in length, and a measly 9 to 10 corners. But no 2 of those turns are alike, and there's an impressive 120 feet of elevation change. Also, a majority of the apexes are taken at medium to high speeds. That makes passing rather tough, but the hairpin at Taylor's is the most likely spot to outbrake someone. Otherwise, you'll just have to wait for a mistake from your rival. Perhaps the aspect that is most unique here is that the circuit can be run clockwise or counterclockwise. Naturally, this changes the nature of some of the corners, but a few things are the same no matter which way you run it. Duffus Dip is a sketchy one in which it can be hard to judge how fast you can take it. And the chicane, which has become notorious for the way touring cars blast over its curbs, requires incredible commitment from the driver and stability in your setup. Speaking of which, expect to set up your car to have to handle the aggressive curves that guard the insides of pretty much every turn. Knockhill has been long requested by the plentiful Scottish racing fans, and with its arrival in the sim, it's sure to garner even more fans around the world now.
There's a myth around this place. There's a sort of understanding that this circuit is incredible, has always been incredible, and really when you look at this circuit, what it brings to the table, it really imbues the Scottish spirit here, doesn't it, Craig? It's the sort of place that you look at and go, you have to drive 110% out of this track or you're not trying.
Oh, it's beautiful around here today, Jake. And did you know this was built by joining service roads to a nearby mineral railway? I wouldn't call it a railway, though, this track. I'd call it a roller coaster. Look at the ups and downs in the elevation just on that track guide. It's 9 turns, only 9 turns, 1.27 miles long. It's about setting yourself up for overtakes. You've got your 2 important straights here, the railway straight and that start-finish straight. And the idea here is that you have to get there first. You have to survive before you get to those straights. Go down Doofus Dip, that tricky chicane. The start of the track, if you go too aggressive, this rear of the car is going to lose grip. It's going to throw you off the track. And if you overtake the chicane, you're going to get a penalty. So some people may also see that little straight there between Clark and the chicane, known as Brabham. They may think you can make a move there. Come to the cost. You run, if you get a run out the chicane, can you make the move into Clark? If you make it clean, can you not give the advantage to the other car to overtake you at Taylor's? Speaking of Taylor's, wide hairpin. Not space to make moves, but a late lunge may not be the optimal plan here. It's so wide, taking the wide line into here is going to give you a really good run. So expect to see a lot of positions getting taken back when they go down into the Duffus Dip the next time by. Now, we've seen many drivers take cars side by side around corners in this series. That may not be the best case of these moves here today, but a quick lap brings desperation into the mindset for some drivers. They want to get around somebody as soon as possible. But if you're one for a calm mind, Jake, you may find yourself in your own train of cars here as you approach the railway straight each lap.
You certainly could do. I tell you what, I wonder if they call it tailors, because the amount of drivers who make a lunge down that corner, you might need a change of clothing to go with it. But let's talk championship right now, because at the halfway stage, it gets interesting. Overall, top 10 will be coming up on your screen, and it is Peter Dempsey for the first time who takes the championship lead, 263 points. Now, no drop rounds are put in. The drop is between rounds 1 and 7. You must take round 8 as a round overall, with Jason Cooper second and Keith Dempsey in third. Keith Dempsey with the drop round has the championship lead by 8 over the 2 behind, Jason Smith and Jordan Kelly. Jason Smith had a 5-point penalty coming out of the last round. That's why he is tied on points with Jordan Kelly, and those two with 4 wins apiece this season. You've got Lawrence de Sosa, who's just been quietly racking up the points. He's there in 6th ahead of the 2 Seans, McGoldrick and McClements, just 2 points between them. Rory O'Shea is in 9th, and Bruno Walraven rounds out the top 10. I tell you what, it is going to be a super close championship come at the end of the season. But 3 races here tonight, as there have been every night. It has been a very classic feel when it's come to this RTA FF1600 championship, Craig.
I love this format here. Look at it. Your first race is 15 minutes long. The grid set out by qualifying. That just feels a really nice pace here. Then a 10-minute race set by the grid from the results of race 1. That is where usual chaos happens around here. And then that will set up the final race, the feature. 20 minutes, the top 8 from that race 2 gets reversed. But you've got to survive. And we have seen a lot of drivers, they do a good first race and then they struggle in the second race if they have to work their way up. And then a lot of drivers making a lot of places up in that second race. But if you're the likes of Lawrence de Sosa, who has been so consistent, sometimes just being in the middle is very handy around here.
It certainly can be, especially in this series. You keep out of trouble, you keep yourself within the top 8 throughout both races. You got a chance, as qualifying though today hasn't been as strong, and I think he's been struggling a little bit out there overall. We got ourselves under 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes left in qualifying as it stands. Lap times here, 51 seconds, currently the top of the times as it goes. We will take a look soon, and we'll go now over to qualifying and how it stands. Andrew Murphy getting it wrong and immediately finding the tyres there on the inside, just coming out of the chicane. The Duckham's car then runs into trouble. Up through then at Taylor's corner, then taking the rise up. There's the top, Jordan Kelly. There's De Sosa going around in the background and trying to get out of the way. But number 99, Jordan Kelly, in control. 51.077, a 10th clear of Jason Smith. There's your track temperatures. It's 32 degrees track. And watch out today for those elevation changes. They've got 60 meters over the lap of elevation change up and down. And you think about that, 60 meters is a lot through the chicane there. But you look now, and suddenly Jason Smith finds the money lap, 51.018.
Yeah, Jason Smith just found that, and that is a very tight lap, even though how slow it is. What can Kelly here do around this lap? He's got Peter McCann in front. Maybe McCann may give him a little bit of an accidental toe on board as they come around Taylor's. Look at that elevation change through that hairpin, though. He's going to come across the lap. He'll get enough time for one more lap regardless, as there's a minute 5 on the clock. He'll come across the line. Is it going to be fast enough? It's not fast enough. He has to find less than half a tenth.
Watch out for turn 2, compression damping the key. Into McIntyre's then at turn 3, 90-degree right-hander, use all the curb on the exit, and then flew through the small flick right of Butcher's, up through the chicane, use all the curb and a bit more, up on 2 tyres. It is old school, the commitment, it imbues the Scottish spirit. Then through the 90-degree right then at Clark's before there's listing left, which is the railway straight, following the old railway tracks, and immediately you find yourself back at Taylor's again, chasing down the number 18 of Peter McCann. Kelly through the final corner, struggles a little bit to get that turned in, but will now use the power on the exit here to really make a charge. And has he found the 4th of Firth to put himself up on top? No, a 51.2, and the clock is running out 10 seconds. And if you don't get to the line, that's it. Qualifying's over. Jason Smith won't be too fast because he's on top as the checkered flag expires here in qualifying. The first of 3 races then is going to be going through, and this is how the grid will look. It is Jason Smith who is on pole position. He's got his main rival, Jordan Kelly, along for company. Chris Knox and Jason Cooper. Howes on row 2, with Niall Murray making his first start and Keith Dempsey in 6th position. It is then Sean McClements and Sean McGoldrick on row 4. Isaac Canto and Patrick McKenna round out the top 10.
And into the second page we go. Adam Dowling will take 11th, and Johnny McMullen makes his debut in 12th position. Rory O'Shea will be 13th, and Peter McCann 14th, followed by Ian May and then Chan Wai Feng in 16th. Lawrence de Sosa did not have a good time out there. He'll start 17th, and John McDonald takes 18th. David Collier will be 19th, with Mark McKenna in 20th, and we do have 7 more drivers on the next page.
Gary Corcoran is one of them. Andrew Murphy will be alongside. Martin McGonigal and Jamal Gandor will be on row 12. And then following that, Barra Hodson, Graham Melvin and Tony Stack. Note, no Peter Dempsey here tonight. He is not going to be racing. He will score 0 points and use that as his drop. That is big. Talking into this second half of the season, you have 1 drop round. He is forced to use it as a 0 coming out of this. So it is going to be advantage to Keith Dempsey, to Jason Smith, and to Jordan Kelly. Those 2 on the front. The rush to the Duffers Dip is going to be crucial as we take our aerial look at the starting grid. The drivers populating themselves around. Watch out for these drivers. They try and find and figure out what they need to do around this track. You can argue that this is going to be the closest racing that they've got. Chris Knox looks very good in the Leighton House livery. He is there in 3rd position and looked very quick over the course of the qualifying time. 2 minutes then about to go. Here is then a few drivers trying to get those engine notes, trying to get the car revved up and ready to get this action sorted. It is going to be 15 minutes, lights on, lights out. Let's get ourselves underway. Jordan Kelly, slow to the start. Chris Knox will fly through. His 5-star teammate in Jason Cooper will try and go around the outside of the Duffers Dip. Jason Smith clear as they go down through towards McIntyre's corner for the first time. It is Jordan Kelly holding on to that 3rd place. Niall Murray trying to get through, so too Keith Dempsey, who is there and up into 4th position. A great start from Keith.
Great start from Keith. A good start, I thought, for Chris Knox as well, getting that advantage. But Keith really making that work, going around the outside at the start of the race there. Jason Smith, though, has checked out a little bit. The rest of the cars will have to try and catch him. And there's not anybody else at the back of the field making any big moves at this moment. But at the front, you can see a late lunge there from Jordan Kelly. Can he make it work, or will Chris Knox get that over-under?
Over and under at Taylor's. You knit 1, you purl 1, and up the rise once again under the Beatson's building bridge and heading towards turn 1, the Duffers Dip, and he gets it sorted on the apex. Down the hill, watch for the compression damping through 2 and into 3 at McIntyre's. Then you've got Butcher's Corner, which is such an important run here. It sets up this dip down and up, all of it through this section of road, and wide running, very wide running into the gravel goes Keith Dempsey, procuring a line at the inside is Jordan Kelly. They're allowing Jason Smith to go because they're racing so hard for this 2nd place. Chris Knox on the inside now at Taylor's. Now he's got to really temper the run here on the brakes. They are scrapping in this group. Big lock up there. Straight on goes Niall Murray.
And everything I mentioned earlier in that race is working for these drivers at the front. Chris Knox getting the advantage despite losing the position at Clark, taking it back at Taylor. But now Kelly's going to make this move. As you can see, Jason Smith getting that fastest lap already. Kelly will retake that P2. And all of a sudden, Knox is under trouble there from the backside of Jason Cooper.
I tell you what, it's getting close. It is getting really close. And you have to drive the finer margins here around this Knockhill circuit. You don't get much room around this place, and these drivers will also have to be very careful about those instant point limits. 15, of course, gets you the penalty, which means you have to drive through, and you're seeing a lot of these drivers taking liberties with that in the early stages of this race. They have the time, but they know that they're doing the most laps this season. Here's Patrick McKenna, 13th position, having a dice around here in the middle of the field, trying to get through. He's got himself just in front. Adam Dowling trying to make a pass on Rory O'Shea. Johnny McMullen just in front of that. It is going to be a case of what can Adam Dowling do to find a move, and you have to be patient sometimes. Just coming out of the pits there, laps down, is Gary Corcoran, who's found himself in trouble. B Championship, we haven't talked about it here so far today, but that is really stacking up nicely at this point as we watch the leaders.
Yeah, we're watching the leaders. We're going to talk about that in a bit. There's only 5 points involved with those drivers. But we look at the leaders here, and this is the most important race. Look at all of them using as much of the track as they want. 17, 18 laps they're looking at roughly here today. And we may see a move going in. Can Knox hold this off right here? Kelly is going to take it. Knox is going to go down. And that inside is going to be covered off because Keith Dempsey has decided, I'm going to take this. You're not going to get a run here.
No, Keith Dempsey trying to get away through, but they're working together. They're almost pushing here on this front stretch then, and just making sure Jason Cooper is third. It's Keith Dempsey in fourth. They're sliding about, trying to get on the brakes here for McIntyre. Through now at Butchers. They go through this right, up through the chicane, trying to really get that drive. It is a kaleidoscope, and there's a kaleidoscope of trouble down there on the inside. Dave Collier and Tony Stack getting it all wrong. Collier is second in the B Championship.
Yeah, that's not what Collier wants to see here. He does not want to take his drop round so soon. But McClement's here looking for a move on to Niall Murray and gets it done. Now again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but look at the line he's had to take due to the way that corner cambers. And look at how wide Murray has to go. But really good blocking there from McClement. He's going to hold that off and just look right behind him. But Goldrick wants a piece as well. He's not going to get it up ahead as well. There's some battles. You see these little groups happening right now, Jake. And all of a sudden, it's just a little bit of patience with 10 minutes to go in each group.
Yeah, they start forming their battle packs here of 3s and 4s, and you've just got to stay in range of the one car in front of you, and there's trouble. Round goes McClement, and facing backwards, he's going to have to try and get that turned around again. So he's in trouble, so too Isaac Canto, who had to get himself turned about as well. And suddenly there's more change, and every incident point matters when you go through McClement. Oh, you can see there the right rear suspension is in absolute chaos. He is going to have to either A, take a tow, or B, hope he can drag that back to the pits. He is going to be in a lot of hurt for this one. Back up forward to Sean McGoldrick trying to find an overtake here. He's got his eyes set on Niall Murray in 6th place, but Niall having none of it. Just in front of that, though, you can see just in the background, a shove through by Chris Knox. He's past Keith Dempsey.
Past Keith Dempsey with a very unconventional move going into McIntyre, but able to get it, and a spin there for the number 22, and now Murray goes around, and more people caught up there, almost in a similar incident what we saw last lap there with Isaac Canto.
Yeah, so that is Sean McGoldrick finding himself tagging tyres, and this is the sort of thing. You've got yourself so much exposure with those tyres. The classic Ray FF1600 look, no front wing, no rear wing. It is just tyres, and they stick out, and you can just clash. And then there's Rory O'Shea clashing, finding himself taking a very, very, I would say, short, shallow line at Taylor's.
Just a little bit too short there, but he's able to recover the car, but he has lost a few positions. He started 13th, he is 13th at the moment, but up ahead there you start to see more battle brewing, and that is that lovely car of Peter McCann, the yellow one. Let's see if he tries to set himself up at the chicane for this move on Adam Dowling. No, he cannot make it, and you can see how crucial it is, because that's a corner you could get a slowdown if you try and push it too hard, and it looks like McCann pushed it too hard. But in front though, with Dowling getting held up by McKenna, may just be a little bit of a blessing there for Peter.
I'll argue the other way. I think he's being too safe. And the reason why is he is losing a lot of time through that section of road. Adam Dowling is brilliantly following Patrick McKenna. Chris Knox sets the fastest lap of the race as he puts on the board a 51.082. No points for it. But here comes the move then as Adam Dowling had a little look at Patrick McKenna, who's going to go straight on right and takes the rallycross route as he falls into trouble through Duffer's Dip, and that's where it can go wrong.
I'll tell you what, great heads up from Dowling to see where that car was going, and he rejoins the track. He's going to be losing quite a bit of position there, McKenna. He goes down to 15th position, but good heads up then to make that move stick, because, well, to make that car stay away from everybody, because otherwise that could have been very dangerous.
Chris Knox, who has been a brilliant bodyguard to the likes of Jason Cooper this season, up the hill, third and fourth they are. They could argue for positions, or they could try and work to close down Jordan Kelly. That gap is 2 seconds at this point. They've got 7 minutes to try and work this out. Every 10th of a second mattering right now, and I tell you what, I will say it every time. I absolutely love Chris Knox's helmet. It is the classic British helmet out there, worn by the two Hills, of course, Damon and Graham.
Yeah, you look at Chris Knox and think, who's driving? Oh, I do love that. You just get a really nice idea to see who is the guy making those corners and making that camera, and you start to see he's looking for moves into the hairpin. Just can't make it stick at the moment, King Chris. I think he's going to hold on here with 6 minutes to go. Maybe he'll be happy with 4th position. I know points mean prizes, Jake, but maybe you're just going to be happy.
They do. Someone's looking for a Brucey bonus. Through goes Niall Murray. He gets past Pete McCann, who can't hold on to the position. And he finds himself then dropping back that place once again, despite being up 4 over the course of this one. Here's the look, though, down to the inside from Isaac Canto. Can he get it sorted? Not at turn 2. He's got the inside for McIntyre's at 3, though. And can he just hold it up through the corner? Yes, he can. Through Butchers. They almost tangled together. That was Niall Murray almost getting locked in with wheels with Adam Dowling, and that could have been drama of the highest caliber. They go on the brakes, flying in towards Clark Corner, and now the run along the railway section on this straight. The slowdown hurts Niall Murray.
Yeah, that slowdown. First one we've seen that actually made an impact today, and you start to see how much he loses out there, and that just sets up the rest of the cars. Adam Dowling now looking to try and make a move on to Isaac Canto here. Can he get this run? Well, Canto immediately takes that inside line. He's going to block it off. If Dowling has a look here, it's going to have to be around the outside. He won't go for it. He might set himself up, though, into McIntyre. Wide goes Canto, but he manages to just keep that car under control. And all of a sudden, Dowling is having to think about his next move, which could be at Clark Corner.
Isaac Canto's been very defensive. You could almost argue Indiana Jones and defender of the lost corner in some respects, the way he's driving. Uber aggressive through the Jim Clark corner and over on the railway straight once again. He's got to be alert. He has got to figure out and focus. What does he want to do when he drives? Chris Knox, by the way, he's got his eyes set. He might be thinking about a move because he's running out of time in regards to what is going on for second. He might just have to start thinking, I want third. Not going to happen on Jason Cooper, not there. With McIntyre corner, down the dip at Butcher's corner, named after the owners of the circuit, the Butcher family, and a very avid sim racer as well in the British sim racing community was Rory Butcher, who actually got his chance to drive in the British Touring Car Championship.
Yeah, that is what sim racing does. It helps create new racers, and it is a fantastic method of training. Just like these racers, we see some Formula 4 drivers using this cup as their advantage. Look at that little twitch from Jason Cooper. Did he get spooked from Andrew Murphy letting him by there?
Yes.
This is going to allow Chris Knox to make a move here. They're side by side. I would not be surprised if Cooper gives this up.
Knox, who's there? Third place lifts out. That, I think, is a very telling sign for Chris Knox in terms of what he is here to do today. He's got the pace. He's shown he could have made that move. He probably could have made it stick, actually, there compared to Jason Cooper, but he's not going to argue with him in terms of what he needs today, as they see just in front Gary Corcoran and then Jordan Kelly down the road. A little bit too far away, and all their fighting on the opening 2 laps was enough to say Jason Smith runs away once again. Now, we have had a 100% record so far this season. It's a really interesting one. The driver who wins race 1 wins race 2, and that's not news that someone like Jordan Kelly will be hoping to hear, as his 3 minutes away from the end of this race might just be sitting second best once again, knowing that with the drop round, it would be Jason Smith taking the championship lead with this victory in race 1.
Yeah, that's not what he wants to hear, and I don't think he would like to hear that if he watches this broadcast back, because he realizes the situation here. Can he do anything to try and upset the Apple car? It's going to be very tough. Look at the air he gained through that chicane back there. All of a sudden, Kelly is now probably thinking about race 2. All he needs is a good start, and he needs to get ahead. That's not easy to say, as we got a car in at the wall, though, and that looks like he may not be coming back.
No, there was one in the wall, but we also had Martin McGonigal go around as well. We didn't quite catch where in the wall that was, or who it was, in fact, that found themselves in trouble. So we'll try and work that out as we go through. Dave Collier, we know his race is over and done with. He's down in the pit, so it might have been Dave. But you got Jordan Kelly here in second, really trying to ring out that ray and try and get this sorted through these corners. And I tell you what, it's not a comfortable drive around this circuit. You definitely feel the bumps as you go through. Look at that. He pretty much does an endo through that section of track.
I would love to know how he does this. Look how confident he is when driving this car. You would not think that he is just experiencing a lot of force feedback. Think of how the car will want to throw you around, even in a direct drive wheel or belt-driven wheel. You've got to think to yourself, that is not very comfortable.
No, it's not comfortable, but you have to make do and manage. Lawrence de Sosa in a race right now. He's looking at a top 10, fending off Rory O'Shea. Now, de Sosa clearly doesn't like this circuit. It's not his cup of tea. He doesn't get it done. But de Sosa's in the middle of a three-car train. Peter McCann has somehow made 5 places through everyone's troubles, but every time we look at him, he's going backwards.
Yeah, he's going backwards, but he's made 5 positions up as Peter McCann. De Sosa has made up a staggering 7 positions so far in this race, and he's holding off Rory O'Shea as they're coming into the penultimate lap. If he can just hold off, that's a really good place to be in P10. We talk about the consistency. De Sosa is the epitome of consistency in this series.
Oh, just behind them as well, just staying out the way is Gary Corcoran, as he's just trying to go through. Niall Murray as well, as the white flag will come out for Jason Smith, who leads this race. Niall Murray, by the way, has just made a move on Isaac Canto. That was for 7th and 8th. Rory O'Shea trying to get there for 10th. We take a look at Isaac Canto, who's Team Dolan car, teammate, of course, to Jordan Kelly. He'll come send it back up the hill, and the up and under very nearly drawing a bit of contact there. Barney waving the white flag as they start this lap. Niall Murray then on the inside of Isaac Canto, heading to Duffer's Dip for the final time in race 1. Can he find the move on the inside? You bet he can, and he'll get it secured down the hill at turn 2. Jason Smith on the radio says, "Thank you very much for moving over for me, Mr. Ian May." He has lapped all up to 20th position. He walked away immediately, and he will cruise over the line. Jason Smith on countback is now your championship leader as he takes race 1 here at Knockhill.
Fantastic race there, but these two have not been stopping. Murray and Canto have been taking a little bat on themselves. Canto tried to defend at Clark. It did not work. He'll take the outside. He'll take the inside. He'll lose a bit. Canto's in danger of losing another position here, as Murray will take a very, very good P7 here. And Murray, Canto, sorry, will have to take a P8.
Rory O'Shea steals one over the line. He takes it over. Lawrence de Sosa, Isaac Canto, frustrated as he slides the car into the wall, reaching the checkered flag. Results of the top 10 then are going up on your screen. It is Jason Smith who once again finds a victory. It is win number 6 of his season, and he wins by 3.1 seconds over Jordan Kelly to extend over that margin by 2 points. It is Jason Cooper who found himself in 3rd. Chris Knox would be in 4th position, and rounding out then the top 5 overall as we're already into gridding for race number 2 would be Keith Dempsey, who now ties on points with Jason Smith. It was then Johnny McMullen, Niall Murray, Isaac Canto, Peter McCann, and Rory O'Shea who would round out the top 10. But we take 5 minutes off the clock. We make it more and more desperate in race number 2. And the key for Jordan Kelly is get a start. That was the difference maker between race 1. He didn't get a start. The field bunched up and Jason Smith was gone. He's got to find a start.
The start is crucial here. Chris Knox managed to overtake him and ruin that start last time. Can he hold it off this time? Kelly has to get to that first corner first. It's going to be tough, though, and Smith does have the inside line.
He does have the inside line. You could argue as well, it's slightly flatter there in position 1 compared to position 2. So he's got a much easier start with gravity in mind. Let's get ourselves ready then. Lights on here for race 2 at Knockhill. Green flag in the air, and let's get ourselves underway. And again, wheel spin for Jordan Kelly. Again, Jason Cooper gets a great run, and now Chris Knox will try and search for a way through. Is it going to be same story again here at Duffer's Dip? Down the hill in towards McIntyre's for the second attempt as they go through. Knox finds a way through. Dempsey shoves him out.
Dempsey pushes him wide, and Kelly has to now go from bad to worse. He's having to try and find some positions out there as well to see what he can do. By the way, in the background to start the race, Adam Dowling goes 3 wide around the outside to make up some positions. He's on a swarm as well, but at the front here, you start to see it's all about who's taking P2. Can Chris Knox hold off Jason Cooper? He'll have the inside for Taylor's.
He will, and he'll get it done as well. But here comes Keith Dempsey having a little search, trying to get himself into play. He can't get there. Just behind them all is Niall Murray, who's made a really good start to this race. Back down, then in 6th position is Jordan Kelly. He's got work to do, leaving the secondary train. Jason Smith, 1.5 seconds clear. Again, you can't afford to give him time.
Give him the space, and he's just out there on his own. It's almost like a Sunday drive for him up to Scotland, but it's a Tuesday night. And what can he do? He's just going to take it easy now. He does not have to push. If he sees Cooper and Knox fighting each other, and they are with Keith Dempsey, what does he have to do? Just nothing.
Yeah, just drive, and that's the key. Just drive. They push. Look at that. They almost make contact there as they go through. Up into it, and oh, big send from both of them. They both outbreak each other, and Dempsey's through, and they interlock there just as they go through. This is huge drama in this group. Keith Dempsey is 2nd, Jason Cooper now 3rd, Jordan Kelly in 4th. Now that was so interesting. Now they go 2 wide, 2 deep on the run to Duffer's Dip, where it gets very, very dicey at the best of times. At the worst of times, they go through. Cooper now to 4th, and what driving here, but still stuck on that outside is Jordan Kelly, and he's now almost around, and he somehow saves it and doesn't hit anybody at Butcher's Corner. How has he still got a car?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, he needs a lottery ticket, but he's going very slow, trying to avoid other people, and he's actually causing a little bit of carnage as he comes back onto the track, and he's losing out time here. Is he
yeah,
damaged?
Look at the front right.
He's damaged. Yeah.
Front right, it's where it is. You can see the tyre is sagging a little bit out there, and it really has dropped. There would have been the contact with Cooper, which would have done that, and that is a big hammer blow for title aspiration. Sean McClement's now up, trying to get through, and here we go, a bit of table tennis, and there goes the shell car, then of Chan Wing Fei into the wall, and his day done then in race 2.
Such a bad mistake there, such an unfortunate position there for Wei Feng, and he's having to take some positions. I think he doesn't have any damage, so he can keep going, but he's at the back of
trouble.
the field.
Big trouble. Just like that, Johnny McMullen finds himself turned around and outside of the top 8. It's an invert of the top 8 for race 3, and that takes him out of contention, which suddenly puts Peter McCann into play as they're side by side for 7th and 8th.
Yep, side by side for 7th and 8th. McCann and Dowling, they're having a little battle themselves. And can they hold on to this? I don't think that Dowling can do this. McCann's in a really good position here. Adam Dowling's in a great position. He doesn't need to do anything crazy now. You've got to think, points are more important than trying to get that pole position right now.
Points are important. You've got to find points. You've got to find them quickly. Jason Cooper in 4th position. Niall Murray, teammate to Lawrence de Sosua, in 3rd place. And that could be crucial in terms of his battle to take points away. But Jason Cooper now just has to stay calm, find a way to get those points. Keith Dempsey only hemorrhaging 2 points. Now, it's worth noting what the points margins are for victory as Cooper now has to go right to the outside, the Ryan Hunter Ray line. He takes 2 tyres in the grass trying to find the move, and he's not going to get there just yet, but he sends the lunge up at Taylor's. Can he block off the road through the exit? Yes, he can. Brilliant move by Jason Cooper to get up on the podium. 30 points for a win, 28 for 2nd. Martin McGonigal needing to find a little bit of help out there. He needs a magic spell. So too Graham Melvin. He's around 2.
Yep, they need a little bit of help out there at this moment. Jordan Kelly, I think, also gone around. Graham Melvin gone around as well. But look at these 3 having a little bit of a battle as they go through. Chris Knox getting a position from Noel Murphy as they head into the chicane. Murphy may get a good run here. Not sure he'll be able to do anything here into Clark. He does not. That send, though, at Taylor's. What a brilliant move it was to cut off any response.
Yeah, and that's the key. Take response away around a track like Knockhill. This is the most beautiful I'll have a chance later circuit, but if you take the chances away, you've got a good chance to go out there and get some big results. Barra Hodgson having a great run here. He's in 11th place, started 25th overall in race 1, and he's found himself after 1.5 races up to 11th place. He's having a stormer out there at this moment, and he will be looking at Lawrence de Sosa in 10th, Sean McGoldrick in 9th. These drivers on the outside looking in at this point in time, and it's key as Coop has a big wiggle. Now Keith Dempsey is only dropping 2 points by being in 2nd place to Jason Smith. That's the important mark, and you'll have a place on him in race 3 if it stays like this. Jordan Kelly laps down, setting fastest laps in anger.
Yeah, you can see that he's really setting it in anger. He's almost using it as advantage, almost coming together there. Dempsey and Cooper. That was crucial. I wanted to pick up on that. Did you see the slide that Dempsey had as he went through Clark? It really set up Cooper, but he was unable to do anything down the railway straight. Cooper's now in danger of Chris Knox. Knox is going to hold off. 3 and a bit minutes left in the race. Doesn't sound a lot, but they still have 4, maybe 5 laps to go around here.
And that's why a lap is so quick. It's just a 2-kilometer circuit, 2.03 as they go up over the chicane and head towards the Clark corner once again. If you want a sign, look at the outside. That's the fantastic stands that you get there at Clark as you make that drive, and they come out in droves to the fans, trying to get every single bit of action that they can. Dempsey defensive on the run to Taylor's on the railway straight, and taking 2 bites of the cherry there is Jason Cooper, and he'll struggle a little bit for drive off of the exit. Up the hill, he'll have the draft. It will have to be defended here by Keith Dempsey. He's going to go to the inside. Oh, there's room just enough to get in a Duffers dip at the inside. Oh, Jason Cooper, you maverick.
Jason Cooper, you made your mind up the moment you saw us gap there. You've been able to take that position. I was not be looking at that myself if I could take the grass, but he's using every inch he can. And the moment that you could see that Knox realized he couldn't make that move and keep that defense, he said, you know what? I have to concede.
Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Keith Dempsey, into the barriers, and suddenly championship is ramparted open for Jason Smith.
Championship implications that they always say, and that has happened as Dempsey has that move. We gotta look elsewhere down the field. That nice yellow car is Peter McCann. He's got Rory O'Shea in front of him. They're now battling for 6th and 5th instead of what they were at 7th and 6th. And you start to see now that this is really helping them when it comes to point scoring. Just like up ahead, you've got more drivers looking for all the points they can.
Sean McGoldrick now up into 8th position, trying to find a pass on Adam Dowling. That would be for 7th, just behind Lawrence de Sosa in the mix too. They climb up through the S's here and this chicane before leading over towards the next right-hander out on track, which is Clark. So this is where you start setting up the run. Get a run out of Clark, and there's a car off, and that is the Leighton House car. Is that potentially? That is. It's Chris Knox who's found himself off the road.
Chris Knox taking the corner a little bit too aggressively, locked up the rear, and the rear slid out on him, and now he's in 9th position. He's got hot tyres as well. He's struggling around at the moment, and we've got another car spinning off as well.
That's Keith Dempsey for the 2nd time. I think he actually got tangled up with someone. He was off the road, and then he spun it a 2nd time. Got it in, and John McDonald, who is the leader overall when it comes to the B category, has just crashed into the leader of the Pro category.
Oh, that's not what you want to see. A little mistake going on, because I think there was a car that went slow as well. Yeah, that was with Keith Dempsey having that mistake. So unfortunately, leaders taking each other out by accident. Meanwhile, you start to see other people trying to take advantage of all these mistakes as the white flag drops for Jason Smith.
Yeah, he is in charge. The battle for pole in race 3, though, is still on, and De Sosa has a knack of being in 8th place at the right place at the right time, with Adam Dowling and Sean McGoldrick just in front. This might be the sort of time he gets into the mix when you've got McCann there, Rory O'Shea up into 4th position, This is just about who has been able to stay calm over the course of this season, and Lawrence de Sousa was one of them. But Jason Smith is having the easiest night he has ever had in this series. He has been walking away with race 1. He will now walk away with race 2 even further, and I tell you what, he might walk 500 miles and then walk 500 more at this rate. He takes race 2.
But meanwhile, in the background, Adam Dowling had an issue at the chicane, and he has fallen down to 10th position and battling with Sean McClements. That gives Chris Knox the pole position for the final race. Sorry, no, Chris Knox gets Lawrence de Sousa. De Sousa is going to get pole position. Chris Knox gets another position on the end of the lap. It's just manic out there, and Chris Knox is the only driver in the top 10 to lose positions from where they started.
Tells you just how crazy this race 2 was, and you only get 10 minutes. Everyone jumps for it. Jason Smith is your race winner once again. He wins by 6.8 over Jason Cooper for a Jason 1-2. Niall Murray, on his first races in the season, finds himself in 3rd. It's then Rory O'Shea 4th, Peter McCann 5th, Sean McGoldrick, Chris Knox, and Lawrence de Sousa with the pole for race number 3. Barra Hodgson, what a drive from starting the day in 25th. He gets 9th, and Sean McClements rounds out the top 10 overall. This has been a very important race, and this is where you're starting to sift through and say, well, who's got control of everything right now? I would say Jason Smith and Jason Cooper right now are the 2 drivers I would pencil in and say they are the main players of the game for the championship, but do not write out some drivers who ran into troubles over the course of this race, because they will get a chance to drive back through and get what they want. Keith Dempsey is worth an eye. So too Jordan Kelly. Both of them here will be starting here, Craig, from 16th and 18th respectively.
Yeah, we actually saw that some of them did have those runs last time by. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when we get to the start of the race. Now, I believe, Jake, you've managed to climb down that tower. And I think you may have found somebody in the paddock to talk to. I'm just going to keep it up warm here for a moment if you want to go and find somebody in the paddock.
I will, and it is Jason Smith who is here with me. Jason, there's no real other way to describe it. You are having the easiest time around this circuit. You're getting 1.5 seconds on the opening lap of the first 2 races, and you're walking away to race wins of 6 seconds apiece.
Yeah, it's really all about the first lap, mastering cold tires and just getting that gap so you can pull away from the tow. And it was just a matter of putting in consistent laps then, and just bringing it home.
How much of an advantage do you think you're getting off the start by being on the right-hand side of the circuit, with the track being a little bit flatter over on the right than it is on the left?
Definitely, there's not a lot, but there's a slight advantage. You can tell from Jordan's starts, but Jordan isn't getting them too good. You don't know what is wrong with him, but he's normally good off the starts. But it could be the road, like what you're saying, but I honestly don't know.
Well, the one thing you haven't done here tonight is overtake. You now have in the back of your pocket, if you put the drop rounds into play, the championship lead. What are you looking at here, starting from 8th place? Is this just going to be a race for you where you're just going to keep yourself out of trouble, keep yourself quiet, or are you here to make moves and really make a statement and try and get the 3-peat on lock?
Yeah, it's damage limitation. Try get through the pack, and like what you said, just try go out and win it. It's the best thing to do.
The best thing to do is to try and win. Jason Smith is a fighting driver. Well, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank, Jason, before you get ready for race 3?
Just a big thanks to RTA and Gavin Ray for producing this car and iRacing and everything. So
no worries at all. Jason Smith joining us then, taking 2 victories. Craig, I'm going to hand the microphone to you. You've managed to find yourself down and you've found Jason Cooper.
Yeah, I've come down and I found Jason Cooper, who's had a little bit of an interesting first 2 races, Jason. It looks like you've had quite a battle on your hands, and it looks like you've got even more battles to come in your next race.
Yeah, been some crazy racing so far tonight, and I'm sure the next one's going to be even better.
Now, talk me through the grid start, because you haven't had, I don't think you've had this side of the track. Sorry, you had this side of the track last time by. You had one car in front of you. You're going to be P7. You have a few cars ahead of you. Do you find it easier with more cars in front of you on a lap like this, especially with that run down to turn 1?
I have no idea what's going to happen in this because anything could happen. We'll have to find out in a minute.
We're going to have to find out in a minute. Yeah, we got to find out in a minute. I'm not going to keep you long. You got to get into the car. So very quickly, is there any shout outs before we see you at the end of the race?
Yeah, you guys for the stream. Enjoy watching every week. So yeah, cheers guys.
Yeah, we'll let Jason get into his car as quick as we can, Jake, because we don't want to ruin their rituals around here for the night, because with just about a minute left to go, I'm looking forward to who makes the most moves and the most positions in that first couple corners.
Yeah, those first 2 corners are so crucial. Actually, you could say first 3. It's not just the case of getting the line at Duffer's Dip. It's securing it at McIntyre's. That's where we've been seeing the opening lap. If you've not got it right off the front row of the grid, you've been in a bit of trouble. It would be interesting to see how Chris Knox tackles it from the front as he looks to try and go from second position and make that rush forward. But one thing is for certain, when it comes to this series, there is the predictable unpredictability that comes around from it and how everyone looks to charge. And let's not forget that next week here, very quickly, just before we head over to our grid, it's Alton Park Island. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, Alton Park in itself, we saw what it brought the first time by. Second time by, what could it bring again? We saw some fantastic moves, great little battles. It promises to be a very fun evening. But again, it's a track that people should know, but just those little twists can change everything.
One small twist could be there in the tail. Lawrence de Soswa has the pole. Chris Knox alongside. Sean McGoldrick and Peter McCann. House Road 2. Rory O'Shea goes from 5th. Niall Murray in 6th. Jason 4th row. Cooper ahead of Smith. Where Barra Hodson and Sean McClements rounding out the top 10 overall. That is how they look. They only have a minute to grid, so we'll keep it there because everyone back through. We watch out for Jordan Kelly 16th, Keith Dempsey 18th. Those are the 2 who could make moves. 32 degrees track temperature, 21 degrees air temperature, 70 and 89 Fahrenheit respectively. It's gusting about from the northeast, as you'd expect here on the Ayrshire coast, and they are going to be all over it as they try and get this drive, because they know that they are going to be leaving Scotland with a few drivers trying to be a Braveheart, but only one can be a William Wallace as they get themselves through. Let's get the lights then on. Let's get ourselves then ready for some racing action as we will drive around Knockhill one final time. 20 minutes on the clock. Green flag in the air, and we're underway. A decent start, but the wheel spin still there for Chris Knox, and it's troubles again. Sliding away through is Sean McGoldrick in the 7-up car, trying to move around the outside. But they almost go 3 wide, down through turn 2, over towards McIntyre. The big block there. Sean McGoldrick leads the race.
Yeah, great move from McGoldrick, and also keeping my eyes for O'Shea, making up moves as well, unable to get it going. Now Murray going around the outside chicane. As Rory O'Shea goes wide on that dirt there, you see as he comes back in, they're trying to keep this very, very calm at the start. There was a little bit of a wreck in the background. Not sure who got collected there. We'll have a look. Those names we were looking at early, Keith Dempsey not making moves. We've got all eyes at the front here.
Yeah, Jason Cooper and Jason Smith then, as here comes Smith trying to make the pass on Cooper up the inside of Taylor's. He's going to get it and trying to sneak away through is Sean McClements. He wants into the mix as well, but at the front, McGoldrick leads. It's going to be in second, Lawrence de Soswa. Following that is Chris Knox. Niall Murray in 4th, Peter McCann 5th. Here comes Jason Cooper, who has been a rocket ship on the straights, but can't quite get what he wants. On for second then as Chris Knox tries to push his way through on Lawrence de Soswa. He gets shoved out and his teammate dives through. So there goes Niall Murray up into the podium.
Oh no, Murray saves the car though with that little move and able to keep it going, but he does lose those positions that he made, and going through is that little yellow car of Pete McCann, and behind you now start to see this is where the challenge is going to be. Jason Smith makes some moves up here. Side by side behind him though is Cooper and Murray. Cooper's going to have to hold this off. Late braking for Niall Murray. It has cost him more than just one position though, as Cooper goes up and O'Shea looks like he's hunting down Niall Murray.
Yeah, certainly will be, and he's trying to get through. And now he's starting to send who can make moves. Now McCann, side by side, you can see into turn one. Jason Smith is scything his way through like a How Ridiculous video on katanas. He is certainly flying. There's a deep reference right there. But now up the hill they're going to go through the chicane. Look at how he chases down Lawrence de Sosa, who's going to have to defend here at Clark, and he'll overcommit at Clark here through this corner. He's going to run wide off the exit, which means Jason Smith can push the power on and go around the outside on the railway straight, which isn't very straight, but it won't matter because he'll have the inside for Taylors as they race for the race lead. There goes Chris Knox from School of Hard Knocks, and he graduates with straight A's into the race lead.
And everybody going 2 by 2 into Taylor. There's Jason Cooper getting a move done as well. And all of a sudden, you start to see at the front of the field that it's all going a different way here as McGoldrick tries to hold off now and tries to fight Chris Knox. Chris taking that lead, but Jason Smith is close behind him. And you've just got to think, if those two start fighting, Jason Smith will go for this as even more positions here. Remember, like I said, Jake, all aboard the train, and everyone at the moment is just keeping it in single file.
Speaking of all aboard, Jordan Kelly is the last car in the field in 25th. He was caught up in the lap 1 incident. Someone who wasn't, Keith Dempsey, car 10 is now 10. Here comes Jason Cooper now, looking for the pass to Soswell. Let's go almost 3 wide. They are queuing up to make passes at Taylor's corner.
Well, we are the British, and we do love queuing, and that's what they're doing. They're waiting for their moment, and you start to see there, Noel Murray is trying to get past Lawrence de Sosa, losing that position to Jason Cooper. The more they fight, the more further ahead that Jason Smith gets. And Lawrence, unfortunately, loses another position. Down the dip he goes. Could lose one more, but decides against it. But that little queue up there, little touch there from McCann and O'Shea, and all of a sudden McCann has to go on the back foot.
And he'll lose a place to Keith Dempsey, who is scything again. Another place he gains. He now moves up to 9th. This is brilliant damage limitation by Keith. Big spin and troubles there. Going through, that will be Sean McClements finding himself back within the Team DDR car.
Making a small mistake there, and unfortunately, can he get back without a lot of positions lost? I don't think that's going to happen. We just get on Peter McCann, makes a twitch on that camber. That's going to allow Adam Dowling to make a move here as they go side by side, and ahead goes Dowling. All important at the back of the field for those positions, and in front of them, Keith Dempsey decides, I'm going to make another position, make that 11 places now for the number 10 car.
He's got work to do, though, to stay with Lawrence de Sosa, Niall Murray and Jason Cooper just in front. Top 3 now have themselves a big position. Rory O'Shea broadside through the chicane and somehow keeps it off of everybody else. He will back it up into the wall to get out of the way of everyone, and he'll get himself going again. Jason Smith now has eyes on second position. He won't make the move, but he's got 14 minutes and 50 seconds to get past the 7-Up Jordan style car of Sean McGoldrick and then the Leighton Howes style car of Chris Knox. He's got to get past the early 90s. Both ways he looks at it, he'll have to run over in towards Duffer's Dip, and he'll move up into second as easy as that.
Well, just like the portable cassette player, he has put it in and he has gone into play mode, and he's rolling ahead there. He's made that move easy on Sean. All of a sudden, Chris is up ahead. Chris won't be noticing this. He won't be panicking too much, but a bad exit of the chicane. Will this set up for Clark here? We talked about the setup all the time. They're so close to one another. Smith is going to have to rely on that slipstream. To the outside he'll go. Can he make this stick around the outside? This is going to be either a setup or he's going to try it.
Well, it's set up. It has to be set up here. Chris Knox really trying to shut the door, and round he goes. Round goes Chris Knox, and Jason Smith has the race lead. Now, the question here was how defensive was Chris Knox trying to be? He was trying to shut the door. I think he finds himself in catch-22, tries to cover it off, he just left it too late.
Yeah, I would have to agree there. It looked a little bit like he wanted to make the move, but just on the exit of the corner, it's so hard, and you can see the wheels when you're in the cockpit, but you just don't get a full view there. So I'm not sure, really. Chris may have done himself his own damage there. He's back out, though, in P10 after all that work, but it has to be, once again, with 13 minutes to go, damage limitation.
Jason Cooper has to make the move now. This is a must-make here on Sean McGoldrick if he wants to stay in range for this one. On the brakes then at Taylor's, he gets the move sorted. He now has to prove he can stay with Jason Smith on pace alone. Every time he's been in this position, the gap's been 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Jason Cooper on his own now has got to show Jason Smith he is equal or better on pace. The gap is 1.2 as he's up into second, down Duffers Dip.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep our eyes on those. And we're just going to get a quick replay here of what happened. And this will be Chris Knox. As you start to see, he takes that inside line. He goes a little bit wide, does Jason Smith. And then there you go. It looked like Knox just didn't realize that there was going to be an overlap there. And I think he just closed in when he shouldn't have.
Well, you can also argue in that stage as well. Troubles, is that Keith Dempsey and Adam Dowling finding themselves in trouble? That's definitely Adam Dowling who's there, who's found himself then in the wrong position. But now all of a sudden, no, it wasn't Keith Dempsey. Actually, yes, it was Keith Dempsey. So Dempsey having a spin at the chicane and Adam Dowling having his own issue as well. So 2 drivers in trouble. Dempsey still in ninth, takes a little bit of a tap there, and he's going to be around, and he's going to be pretty much there with Isaac Canto in trouble.
Oh, this is awkward. They're locked together, and now they finally get unlocked as well. But that was a little bit of a move. I think he just tried to hold off that position, braked a bit too much. The back went again. We've seen that a couple of times under braking around here. And Dempsey, all that work he's made up in the first 9 minutes of the race, it's gone. But right here, 23 takes on 22. Niall Murray takes on Sean McGoldrick. What can they do? Because they realize they're starting to lose time to Jason Cooper and Jason Smith. They're just going to have to be fighting for that final spot on the podium.
23 versus 22, 21 Jump Street style overtake, easy as you like, making that one sorted. And now all of a sudden it is going to be these drivers thinking. Jason Smith now out to a 1.8 second margin. He is rushing away at the front of this field. Niall Murray having to go slightly defensive down Duffers Dip. Now into McIntyre's corner here at turn 3 here, the fast right-hander, 90 degrees, but then you're going through this section of track. This is where you feel the roller coaster. You just feel it in the pit of your stomach every time you go up and over. And the one thing that I think sim racing could do, try and pretty much generate, the only thing that's missing is the negative G feeling.
I don't think I'd enjoy that personally. I don't like the feeling of the car being light and lightless and no weight there, and when you get that, that would just make me feel a little bit uneasy, just like McGoldrick did going around that corner. At the end of the day, we're all looking to race here, and we just want to have the best we can, just like Chris Knox. He's trying to do the best recovery he can at the moment. Barra Hodson is the first one. Now he's got Peter McCann. There's 5 seconds between McCann and De Sosa. He may just have to keep this.
Keith Dempsey is in the pit, so here's Troubles. Pretty much have him day and done as we focus 6th, 7th and 8th. I want to keep an eye on 12th place as well if we can, because that is going to be a driver known as Jordan Kelly. As there is Jamal Gandor in 9th position, having himself a breakout race by his standards. What a drive he's got up through the chicane. He's loving it right now, racing Barra Hodson and co. And that in fact is Adam Dowling, 9th and 10th.
Yeah, I'm knocking on wood here at the moment. I don't want you jinxing him because he's been having a great day out there. 3 positions made up. He's capitalizing on other drivers making mistakes, just like Chris Knox, who he's making up for his mistakes as he goes past Peter McCann, Barra Hodson behind him. And these 3 keep battling. We might have to talk about Gandor in this battle as well for P6.
Yeah, but that's 6 seconds down the road. That's the only difference maker. Down through Duffers Dip once again, and Chris Knox in 6th has about 5 seconds to catch Lawrence De Sosa in this race. It's a long, long road for him to chase. He goes up through. There's your race leader, Jason Smith, in a world of his own once again, and he is proving once again that in terms of overall pace, I think he's the favourite. He just has to stay out of trouble. The one question that will be asked is he going to take another points penalty after the issue with Chris Knox? He had a 5-point penalty last time. McCann now getting a good drive then up the hill. He'll look for a pass on Chris Knox. But every penalty point does sort of weigh in the back of the mind, how do you make a move?
But it creeps up on you as well. You get those penalty points, you get one, then you start to worry about, can you do the same thing again? Or can you be aggressive again? And they have to start thinking about that when they come to these moves. We've seen quite a bit of pushy today on such a narrow track. That could also play into the fact of other drivers getting penalties. We're just doing theorying here. We're not saying it's going to happen, but you've got to think that if those drivers just drive a little bit too more aggressive, all of a sudden these points they're gaining could be all for nothing.
Yeah, this is theory crafting at this point in time as the 6th, 7th and 8th positions continue to be scrapped for here around Knockhill. 7 minutes, 47 seconds remaining on the clock. Up the hill they go. Jamal Gandor loses out then at 9th place, and he loses it to, of all people, Jordan Kelly, who is driving absolutely lights out. He was down at the end of the second lap in dead last position, and he's doing almost exactly what he did at Snetterton to try and get back. He might actually get, well actually he's going to struggle to get anything more out of this. He's got 9 seconds to chase down on the next driver in front, but Jordan Kelly, 7 minutes, he's going to try, oh, straight on, bye-bye, bye-bye, Tony Stack.
Yeah, Tony Stack has not had the best of luck, and he goes into the wall there. You see this lovely camera watching all the drivers through and into the chicane. Oh no! And all together, that's Canto and Stack coming together as they went side by side in the chicane.
There goes the nose, and Isaac Canto with a grave mistake up through the chicane. And if there was ever a notice to say, never going too wide at the chicane, that was it. Jamal Gandor loses the place to Adam Dowling.
Yep, and meanwhile then we'll get back to the rest of the field as you start to see that is a gap. You start to see that the number 4 car there, Adam Dowling, trying to catch up to Jordan Kelly, but you've got to give some respect to Gandor. He has lost another position to Dowling. He is punching above his weight, and that's not an insult to him. He's having a great drive regardless. If he can keep up with Dowling, he's in line for a really good result here today.
Yeah, I would say he is, and sometimes you find tracks that just suit certain styles of driving. Chan Wing Fei is another driver that you look at and go, this is suiting him at the moment, the way that he wants to go. 13th position, and mind you, this has been such a crazy race 3. We've only got 15 drivers left on the lead lap.
Only 15, never think, that's almost half the field. That is only on the lead lap now in a short race, but again, 20 minutes around here is 24 laps. Which just goes to show you exactly how tight it can be, just like how much space they're leaving between these two. That is Weifeng and McDonald. Now, can Weifeng make this move around the outside? I don't think he's got it. The inside's covered from McDonald. Is there a response going to McIntyre? No, he's holding on here. He's having a little fun battle. Is he going to be able to make something, though? But it looks like he's having the time of his life, if not a very stressful time out there.
Yeah, in the mock-up, I believe it's a Dick Johnson Racing style machine that's there for Chan Wing Fei, which is, of course, one of the most famous teams in Australian supercars. When you look through, there was the team, of course, of Scott McLaughlin for the longest time. Now it's Anton De Pasquale, of course, used to drive for the Evolution Racing team in Australia. A very prevalent sim racing team, who at one point was one of the biggest teams in the world. Jason Smith driving to 100%. You have to around this circuit. There is no such thing as driving to a limit. But speaking of driving to a limit, Rory O'Shea in a lot of trouble. He's got the black flag. He's in the pits 3 laps, so he's got not only damage but a drive-through penalty when he gets back out.
Not what you want to see, but we did talk about how the incident points could be in play again as they rack up with all the drivers taking aggressive lines and trying to use all the space possible, and then of course you get a spin and then you get in contact. That can happen. That's not happened to Jason Smith out there today. He's having a very nice drive, and even more, he's out ahead, and Jason Cooper's got no one ahead of him either, and he's struggling out there. And well, somebody who isn't struggling is Weifeng Chan Weifeng, sorry. He is now looking at another battle with John McDonald. He's having fun, even if it is battling for P12.
And John McDonald is getting huge points in that Division 2, that B Championship, round the outside, an attempted Duffer's Dip, up and under. Troubles for Adam Dowling, potentially, might now have him down. So we might need to have a look at that, because he's dropped off the road, and he dropped off the road there at Duffer's Dip.
Yeah, he's dropped off at Duffer's Dip, and I think he just had a little bit too much. We'll maybe get a look at that in a bit, but this battle is brewing. I want to see what he can do here. Look at the runs that everyone is getting here. That is a car right behind Peter McCann, sorry, Barra Hodgson. I don't know why I said Chris Knox for a moment. And you can start to see trying to close that gap on Peter McCann, and he has been doing it. But is it going to be all too little too late with 3 minutes left in this race?
And let's not forget Chris Knox. He's within a second now of Lawrence de Sosua in the race for the top 5. This is a big, big statement at this point here for someone like Chris Knox, who needs those points and wants to try and climb up and actually might be a sneaky contender for getting himself top 8 in the championship when all things settle out. On the brakes then in the Leighton House car. His car livery changes week to week. I wonder how much he pays the painters every time he goes through, but he'll be looking to try and get through there, get Martin McGonigal through on that inside to the all going to have to try and navigate around him in towards Duffer's Dip, and they are just about going to manage that as they dive down the hill in towards McIntyre Corner, turn 3, out on track through Butchers, and then the chicane here. What a committed corner this is. Up, and try and hold the grip as much as you can as you go through in towards Clark, and this is Chris Knox trying to absolutely wring the neck out of his Ray Formula Ford 1600.
He's throwing everything and a kitchen sink as well. Maybe 2 kitchen sinks at this moment, as he's almost claimed half a second on Lawrence de Sosa with this lap, as Lawrence doing again a very calm, consistent and quiet race there up in P5, doing the best he can, but he is under threat here, and now is the time with just, what, 2 laps left in the race, maybe 3 laps for these drivers, where you can't do calm. You're going to have to start defending, and all of a sudden Chris Knox is looking for it in McIntyre. Has that just cost him?
It did cost him. It cost him a lot. And speaking of costing, Jason Smith lost 0.8 of a second because of Martin McGonigal, who'd spun it. And that's why we saw him slow going up the front straight towards Duffer's Dip. He was slow because he'd spun it at Taylor's Corner. So that's why the gap's back down to 2 seconds at the front. So McDonald now in 11th, just about holding that station in that battle, coming up towards the final minute. Knox not giving up on his battle either, and McDonald just doing enough at the moment as they charge through towards this stage. Jason Smith very soon could be on his final lap. It's going to be nip and tuck to see whether it's this one or one more.
Could be one more to go, but I'm liking this right now with Chan. Can he make this move on McDonald? It's a fantastic little battle here. He thought he could get the send into Clark. He's going to try and do it around the outside of Taylor's. That's not going to work for him. Over-under could work, though. Look at the launch he gets. A fantastic launch there, as he's going to go level with him, and that gives him a little bit more. They're trying to squeeze each other. They don't know where each other is. They're coming together with one another, side by side. They interlock tires, and I think Chan has to back out of that just because they did not know where each driver was.
Oh, they're giving it everything. Jason Smith starts the final lap here at Knockhill. He will leave here tonight as the championship leader undoubtedly. Chris Knox has got his sights on a top 5. Can he find the pass on Lauren de Sosa here at Duffer's Dip? Opens up the door at the inside. Does de Sosa have anything to argue with? No, he doesn't. Chris Knox, what a drive to get back to the top 5. He has thrown everything at it. And speaking of drivers throwing everything at it, Jordan Kelly has been catching at 1.5 seconds a lap on Barra Hodgson. I think he's going to be short by about 1 second. Wing-Fei Chan still looking, but Jason Smith, oh my Jason, what a drive. He will be the man who takes the championship lead coming out of Knockhill. He has earned that in space.
Brilliant drive from Smith tonight. He's taken the hat-trick, and we're seeing this final battle. Chris Knox makes a mistake. So does Lawrence de Sosa. A great recovery by Chris Knox to take that P5. It may be -3 on the race, but it doesn't tell the story. Great drive there by Knox. A good drive from de Sosa as well.
Chan Wing-Fei has the money shot. If he wants to go for it, will have to be the long way around. Has to pinch, can't get there. Great driving by John McDonald. And that is the sort of drive that he absolutely needed. Not wanted, needed, in terms of what he needs to do, how many times he needs to do it. Where you consider that Dave Collier hasn't had the best of races here tonight. This is what will give John McDonald a huge boost to his B championship overall. Let's get ourselves then a little look at a confirmation of results then from race number 3. Jason Smith, 20 minutes, 40 seconds, wins by 2.6 over Jason Cooper, who did not have the pace to match him here today. Niall Murray will get a big podium with Sean McGoldrick 4th and Chris Knox a 5th place finish. What a sterling recovery that was. Lawrence de Sosa again picking up the consistent points. He's done well at a track where he's not really favoured the way he's wanted here today, with Peter McCann in 7th. Barra Hodson, a big 8th place for him in terms of what he wants. Jordan Kelly 9th. And mark that top 10 down for Jamal Gandor. That is big for him in terms of what he wanted out of tonight.
You want to talk about most improved people, let's talk about Gandor, but let's talk about the next page, because as you alluded to, John McDonald made up 10 places that race to take a very crucial P11, but also a win in the B series, a crucial win there. Chan Wing-Fing made up 3 positions, a great battle there at the end, but just fell short of those positions. And Tony Stack, after a lot of mistakes and a lot of bad luck, does get a 13th position there, which can help him out. Sean McClements loses 4 positions and had to take a pit stop. He will finish 1 lap down in 14th position. And Gary Cochran will also make up 8 positions, but again, 1 lap down in 15th. And then Dave Collier makes a position up into 16th. And then Ian May gets a DQ, but finishes 17th overall. That was for incident limits. Martin McGonigal, 18th, was 3 laps down. Adam Dowling, we saw finish 5 laps down. And Isaac Canto finished 9 laps down as we're getting into the retirees.
Yeah, this is Retirement Central. Rory O'Shea, Keith Dempsey. That is another big one for him. A night that has got worse and worse as it's gone on. And his championship lead eradicated 6 races he wants back over the last 2 weeks. Mark McKenna, Graham Melvin, Patrick McKenna, and then you got Andrew Murphy and Johnny McMullen not finding himself much of a start. He did not take to the start for race 3. He said, race 2, that's enough for me. I'm not getting anything out of it that I want. But we're going to step aside for just one moment here with the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back with some post-race interviews after this. Look, it's been the sort of race here tonight where you could say you could celebrate with about 3 iron brews in the back pocket of Jason Smith. He has driven an absolutely sensational race again. He has managed to get himself right on through. Craig King has jumped right down our brilliant tower, and he's joined with him right now.
I've slipped down the ladder to see Jason Smith. Another victory, Jason. It's a three-peat again. This one, you weren't in the lead straight away, but you had to make some moves, and it looked like you were taking your time with those moves out there.
Yeah, definitely. I was being very cautious because anything can happen on the first lap with cold tires and everything. So it was just a matter of working my way through.
Yeah, made your way through, and then you managed to get that lead. A little bit of a moment there, though, with Chris Knox taking that lead. Talk us through what was happening in that moment, because you took a wide line, and then all of a sudden it just felt like there was a little bit of a gap just closing.
Yeah, I took a wide line to get a good run up the hill, and then on my screen I was further away than Chris, and I was looking back on the replay, and when I was close to him, our cars like jumped together, and then it spat out Chris, and then it put him off, and then but I got like a 0x first, so I don't know what happened. It was just got contact. So
it was an unfortunate moment, and Chris did recover to a P5, of course. But you now have another three-peat for an evening. You basically set yourself up for the lead of the championship almost now. We go to Alton Park next week with the island layout. How do you feel around that? Because we've been to Alton Park before, but this time it's going to be a different way around the track.
yeah, it's a good track as well. I think was it last week? The iRacing went there, and me and Jordan done a few races, so we were looking very quick. But sadly, I probably won't be able to make the next round as I'm away. So
we've heard that first. It may be that Jason Smith may not be here, but Jason, before we let you go, I know you said some shout-outs before. Is there any other shout-outs you want to throw down before we let you go for the night and celebrate in a bath of iron brew or your drink of choice?
yeah, no, just a big thanks to RTA again, and Gavin Ray, who actually make these cars in real life and produce them into iRacing, and my dad for when we go racing in the future in this chassis. So.
Well, thank you very much, Jason. Congratulations on the three-peat. That was our winner for the final race of the night, Jason Smith, Jake. And I don't know who you have with you now. Are you coming down the ladder with me?
I am. I've got Jason Cooper here, second position overall. Jason, we just heard the other Jason in his interview say he's not going to be here next week when it comes to Alton Park Island. For you, with another consistent result, Keith Dempsey finding himself in troubles. You look around, Peter Dempsey not having the best of days. Jordan Kelly struggling in that race 3. Is this your championship right now?
I don't know, because I've not had. I've had obviously a couple of good rounds now, but my first couple were not the most consistent finishing. So I think even though they've got a couple of drops of 0 points, that's going to bring them right back into it. So we'll see what it is at the end. But yeah, we'll give it our all.
Well, speaking of giving it a roll, making the moves up through the field, you're able to get them done fairly quickly over the course of today. What is it about this Knockhill circuit that makes it so good for overtaking for you? Because it looks like the sort of track where on paper you have to follow in the wheel tracks through certain parts of the track, but other parts like coming out of Clark, for example, and pretty much Clark to Duffer's Dip, it's pretty much an overtaking paradise.
Yeah, it's a very difficult track. It's so easy to make a mistake anywhere, and you've got to be so committed, being really close to the guy in front to get a run on them. It's really easy to just get that slightly wrong through the corner and make a mistake. But yeah, if you do get it right, it's very rewarding. And yeah, you got to be quite committed on your overtaking moves. So hopefully, I did that clean enough tonight.
I'm pretty sure you did. I'm pretty much sure it showed. Now, Alton Park Island Circuit, we will go to there. Just looking back, though, at your Alton Park results, should be a very interesting one from the first time in the overalls you went through. You managed to drive that and had a bit of struggles in one of the races. You got 44 points. That's your drop. Are you looking at this race then coming through going, okay, I've actually got to make up quite a bit of ground then in terms of the way that I'm racing here at Alton Island, knowing that I didn't quite have what I wanted when I came here the first time for the International?
Yeah, I seem to be missing a couple of tenths on pace to Jason, and Jordan on most of the tracks, but frustratingly, I made a couple of mistakes when I was racing at Alton earlier in the season, and again at Brands GP. So if we can iron out those mistakes, then hopefully that'll make it a bit more interesting.
Well, the floor is yours, Jason. Shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank, because you are right in the title picture here, leaving this Knockhill circuit.
Just want to say thanks to everyone that turns up each week to race. It's really enjoyable. Especially enjoyed racing with Niall tonight. It's good to see him back. So well done, Niall.
Well, there you have results coming through. Jason Cooper with 2 second places, 3 podiums on the offing. And finally, Craig, you've managed to jump down once more down the paddock, and you found yourself with Niall Murray.
Yeah, I've seen Niall Murray here making his first race this season, and it's a very good one for Niall as well. It was 5th to 7th, 7th to 3rd, and then 6th to 3rd in that last race. Now, with the way that race went for you, you've got to feel happy with a 3rd place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a little bit disappointed in race 1. I made a few mistakes. Would have been with the lead pack, but yeah, look, I just jumped on yesterday for the first time in a long time for an hour last night, so I'm happy enough considering I haven't done much mileage on the sim in the last kind of year or so. But yeah, if I can get a couple more evenings on before the next meeting, then it should be better, closer to the pace.
Now, we did see at the start of that final race, you made a mistake at the chicane. You went off onto the gravel, and you did lose a few positions there. What is it about that chicane that is so tricky? Because you weren't the only driver getting caught out there and getting thrown into the gravel.
Yeah, the most difficult thing about it is when the tires are cold, really. And again, having not done much running in this, it kind of really caught me off guard the first kind of 2-3 laps, trying to drive them on cold tires. But the chicane is fairly straightforward once your tires are up to temperature. You can just about get it flat out if you get the line right. But if you're an inch left or right, you could just be fired off. Or if your tires are cold and you try to go too quick, which was the case for me.
Yeah, and when those tires heated up, you were picking drivers off one at a time, making some nice moves into the hairpin as well, which looked to be like one of your favorite spots to make moves there, because it seemed to be every time we were looking at you, there was something happening with you at the hairpin. Yeah,
I'm not sure why, really. I just seem to be able to brake later than most people there, and still kind of get an alright exit. I had my bias set fairly far back, so I think it helped through there, but maybe hurt me down a turn 3 maybe a little bit. But it was like you just dive to the right fairly late, and once the guy in front of you sees you and cooperates, then you get the move done, and just have to obviously box it off on the exit so they don't get the cut back. But it was great racing. No major sort of incidents really, apart from my own doing. So yeah, I'm happy enough, and looking forward to getting back on again for another round.
Yeah, hopefully we look forward to seeing you next week at Alton Park. So we'll let you get a nice recovery after that fun night of racing. But before we let you go, the floor is all yours, as Jake would say. Is there anybody you'd like to give some shouts out to?
Yeah, just thanks to the lads for organising it. It's great to have a league on that you can just get on and for a couple of hours in the evening and have a bit of crack. It's good racing. The cars are obviously good. The tracks that the lads picked are good as well, and there's a lot of organisation in the background that people don't really see. So thanks to all the lads in RTA for kind of organising it. It's it's great to have a bit of a club atmosphere back.
Well, thank you very much. Now we look forward to seeing you next week. That was Niall Murray. 2 third places for him, including a 3rd place in the final race, Jake.
Yeah, so great driving from Niall Murray here. 2 podiums to his name. You certainly can't argue against the way he has driven. But in terms of what we're doing here tonight at Knockhill, that is going to bring our work to an end. There are 9 races left in the championship, and the next 3 will be jumping along very, very soon in just 1 week's time. I want to give a massive thanks to the team who have got it done today, from Craig, from Daniel, and from Dougie. Please make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store, gsrc.storenv.com. Make sure you get your merch, because you know, GSRC, we're here, we're doing lots of broadcasts, and it's a whole heap of fun. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment of action here with us, because there is great racing that goes on all throughout the week. In terms of when we're next with you, it's May 23rd. It is 4 p.m. Eastern. It's 9 p.m. British Summer Time. It is Alton Park, Ireland, and it really does make a difference when you have a slightly different layout. It is a brilliant last 3 rounds to the season. Alton Park, Ireland, just the first of those 3. So jump in with us. All the other broadcasts will be listed on your screen. They'll be scrolling on through. And up next, in terms of what's for Global SimRacing Channel broadcasting, Grand Prix Legends is, believe it or not, also going to Alton Park, but they'll be running the international layout without any chicanes. That is May 20th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. BST. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, race clean, race hard. It is a championship lead for Jason Smith. He will give that up at Alton Park. Jason Cooper, now the flag bearer in that regard. We will see you on the track.
Wow.